Okay, so again, even though this is a review of older material, I'm still going to be giving my overall thoughts here at the beginning, and then there's going to be a big spoiler section, so if you, like me, haven't exactly seen Loki Season 2 at this point, you've been warned, okay? So, yeah. I'd say, overall, I'm going to give Loki Season 2 a B. There's a lot of real strong efforts in this. There's a great performance from Tom Hiddleston and pretty much all the supporting cast. Owen Wilson, Stephanie DiMartino, obviously Ki-Hye Kwan. It has a lot of scene-stealing moments. Other people are in this. And there's a very good, it's an overall really good job of bolstering up the material and making it at least mostly comprehensible, because this is a time travel story and it is rather dense. There's a lot of that. There's a really good score throughout the series. There's some good editing. Not a lot of intense action sequences, but still a very fun adventure aspect to it, like with some good humor at times, but still serious when it needs to be serious. So yeah, about the only real drawback I have is, again, this is a time travel story, so it can get a little dense and it can be hard to follow in some points. And this is a kind of a minor nitpick, but sometimes they muck up characters' names. Like, and this isn't too big a spoiler because it's nothing to do with the story, but sometimes Sylvie is Sylvia, and then she's back to Sylvie in the same sentence. So yeah, it's just like, nail down what you're calling these characters before you start running too wild there. I'm guessing, without spoiling the end, there's probably not going to be a season 3, but I think overall this did tell a very good story.
You gotta give props to Zach and Cody. Even though they live on the 23rd floor, no elevator's gonna stop them from going where they want to go.
We'll risk it all! Yeah!
No matter what the skill,
Take that, ogre! Take that, troll!
or the sport, they're gonna level up.
Oh!
And together, they've got a game plan.
We got hand-eye, baby, hand-eye!
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, every morning at 7, 6 Central on Disney XD. Yes! On Disney XD, kick it with Sensei Rudy at the Bobby Wasabi Martial Arts Academy.
I'm just so sick and tired of being looked at as just another pretty face.
Welcome to my world, sister. If you don't win the next tournament, we're closing you down.
Let's do this. It's the Never Give Up, Never Say No Dojo.
Oh! You gotta get up! I can't get up because you're kneeling on my leg!
Oh, sorry, my bad. The brand new series, Kickin' It, premieres next month on Disney XD.
Okay, so once again, this is the spoiler section. If you want to avoid, go to here. Don't worry, it's not going to be too terribly long. It's just going to be, we're doing kind of a general overview of the season. We're not going to be going completely episode by episode, blow by blow. We'll be here forever if I did that. So, anyway, you've been warned again. So, go to this point and, okay. So, yes, spoilers for Season 2 of Loki. Basically, the big story arc is, of course, at the end of last season, Sylvie, that's the female Loki from one parallel universe, or one tangent line, cast Loki back in time to the back to the TVA, to be more precise, while she stayed at the end of time and killed he who lives at the end, who is Immortus, another name for the longtime Avengers villain King the Conqueror. Loki then found himself in a TVA filled with Kang statues and we'll just call him Kang for sake of ease at this point. Full of Kang statues and Mobius not understanding who he was. Turns out that Loki had actually traveled into the far past of the TVA, which isn't something that should be able to be done, and he's been skipping through time. So at one point he skips into the present. He skips into the future at another point, which we'll get to, and then he bounces through them all. And what happened is as I said, he's skipping through time, and in one of the future points, he sees the TVA completely destroyed, people emptying out, and he sees Sylvie trapped in an elevator, kind of reaching for help for him. And then he gets back to basically the present TVA and reveals the facade that, again, I'm just going to call him Kang for sake of ease, is the one who created the TVA, and he set all of this up so that he could create variants that will go throughout time and muck things up so that he becomes basically a super dictator. However, there's still the problem of this time skipping that needs to be solved, and so they have to go into the research and development department to talk to an individual named Ouroboros, or OB as he likes to be called, who remembers everyone even though they haven't necessarily met him. And this is where that whole time travel density loop comes into play. So it turns out he's the guy who wrote the handbook for how the TVA should work and be managed. And he says, okay, well, something's going on here. You're slipping through time. We're probably going to, what we need to do is, we need to go into the temporal loom. We need to prune you off and then see if we can, as you're being cut off, see if we can rope you and bring you in with another machine. And that'll fix the time skipping. And as this is happening, so they have to set all this up. He has to be pruned out during a time skip. They manage to time out when his next time skip is. He time skips to the future. This is where he sees Sylvie on the elevator, and he sees the temporal loom is falling apart, and they're able to basically figure out that because what the temporal loom does, it takes all the timelines and merges them in so they fit into one timeline. But now, because of Sylvie's actions, there's all of these timelines splintering off, and they're fraying, and it's overloading the loom. It doesn't have the capacity for that. And this is creating a bit of a wedge within the TVA. There are some people who just want to prune off the looms and destroy them, and some Mobius, B-15, even Loki to an extent have figured out, when we're doing this, we are essentially killing people and destroying entire universes, and this is maybe not the best course of action. So they are starting to work on something that will expand the loom, expand the rings so that it can handle all of these branching timelines. As this happens, a group of TVA officials led by an individual known as Vox look like they're heading off to possibly tackle one of these Kang variants that are going throughout history. But in reality, what they're doing is they're going into timelines and pruning off the whole timeline at once. In fact, they're setting up a big bomb that will basically remove a bunch of them. They're hoping to remove all of them. And as this happens, Sylvie finds herself in 1982 working at a McDonald's because she just likes being there. She's decided, like, this is where I want to live. I don't want any more of the TVA stuff. But eventually what they find out is one of Vox's group left and went into the original timeline, and it's Agent X5, I think. It turns out he's an actor named Bradley Wolfe, who's like big in the mid to late 70s, and he's making a name for him, so he goes in to live that life and becomes this big actor. And Mobius and Loki track him down and find him, to try to find out where Sylvie is. There's some nice hardcore interrogation scenes. He eventually rats out what's happening with the bomb. Sylvie winds up joining them to spare her timeline. Still, a bunch of the bombs wind up going off. A bunch of the timelines are pruned, and unfortunately, this causes a little too much damage, and now the loom is completely collapsing on itself. So now they need to figure out how to get everything back into one timeline and fix it so they can fix the loom and do all this stuff. And so to that end, they need to track down the runaway TVA agent Ramona Revslayer, or Miss Minutes, who is actually with her. And they have traveled back to Chicago in 1869 so they can give a young child named Victor Timely the TVA handbook so that he can learn how to develop the time loom, so that so that he can basically, this is one of the variants of Kang. And they eventually travel to Chicago in 1893, where Timely is giving his demonstrations of his devices, only to reveal that he's actually a charlatan because the technology to build these things just does not exist yet. So he makes more money as a Flim Flam man than he does as, actually developing this. And, they have to either get Ms. Minutes, Rev Slayer to come to the present, or they need to grab Victor Timely, because in the minute as this is happening, Ms. Minutes has hacked the TVA computers and locked everyone out. So now they can't open the blast doors to try to monitor the loom. And added to all of that, the time skipping has stopped for the moment. So Loki, the pruning of Loki out of the timeline did work. It led to some humorous points. But yeah, eventually Sylvie winds up there too, and she's more hell-bent on killing all the Kang variants. And they're like, no, because she's completely anti-TVA. She says, this isn't helping anything, this timeline thing isn't helping. The TVA should just be destroyed. And Loki's like, well, if you do that, you're going to wind up destroying everything. I don't think that's really what you want to do. Yeah. If there's still at least one timeline, then things can work off of it. The rate we're going, we're not going to have any timelines left. And that convinces her to spare Timely. At this point, though, Rev Slayer and Ms. Minutes escape. They get to the end of time, where Ms. Minutes kind of has this freak out. Like, Kang developed her, and she, because she's this artificial intelligence who can upgrade and become more human, starts to develop feelings for him, and she admits this to Victor Timely, and starts trying to fix things. At the same point, it's also revealed that Rev Slayer was also involved with Kang, but he cast her back into the past to run the TVA, but wiped her mind. And so now there's just this kind of you can't trust anyone motif going on. So Kang and Rev Slayer, and Ms. Minutes wind up traveling to there, where they have all the TVA agents and Vox and Brad Wolf, who all got arrested again, are being held in basically jail cell for what they participated in. And she says, hey, I'll break you out of here, you join me, we'll fix this, and we can live our lives. And only Brad goes with her. So she kills the other ones by activating the torture device, which forms this big cube that just compresses and kills them all. And as this is happening, Loki and Mobius bring Victor Timely back to the TVA, where OB reveals that he based the management book on the writings of Victor Timely, so it's an Ouroboros again. So it's the snake that's eating its tail. So OB influenced Victor so that Victor can influence OB, basically. And they set about, and it turns out Victor did manage to make a device that can help expand the rings and reconnect the timelines so that, or allow the loom to expand enough to start handling itself again to stop the overloading. And they start working on making this new modifier to fix it all. They seem to get this is happening as Rev Slayer is launching her attack. So it falls, but in the process, they have to reboot the system to, get everything working again. And in the process, this brings down the barrier that prohibits magic being performed in the TVA, and that allows Loki and Sylvie to to use their magics to get the upper hand on Rev Slayer and bring her and Ms. Minutes into custody. Rev Slayer is pruned. Ms. Minutes is shut down completely and deleted. Taunting Rev Slayer at the end, going, "You'll never be him." And that's the end of that. And so they get the device made. Victor Timely goes out to try to use it, and within basically the drawback of going out, it's because it's sort of in space-time, so you have to wear the suit. There's radiation given off, so you're supposed to be protected, but if you're out there for even the slightest bit too long, your skin comes completely off and you die. And so, but now, because this loom is collapsing, Yeah, because of everything that's going to happen. There's more radiation being output, so it's like you have to run out there and be quick, and you can't, screw up. So you gotta move, move, move. So he gets in the suit. Timely gets in the suit. He gets in there. He grabs the device. He opens the door, and within a step of taking out, he completely dissolves, and the loom collapses. And this results in Loki's time skipping returning. And basically, what happened was everyone got cast back into their original timeline. So he has to find these people in their original timelines, which means bouncing around from year to year to year because not all of them are in the same time. Like, Sylvie is still in 1982, and she's aware of what's going on, but OB is in 1994, where he's a theoretical physicist and failed sci-fi writer, and it turns out that he kind of wrote about the TVA, before the TVA existed. And so he's able to piece together theories on how to get it to work. Casey, another one who's been helping OB throughout all of this, what turns out was one of the many failed escapees from Alcatraz who tried to get away on the boat that was made of clothes that you saw on Mythbusters. So yeah, he was one of them. He's there. So he's in like 1963. Mobius is in 2022. He's a motorcraft salesman. Like, this whole thing is about him being fascinated with jet skis and stuff like that. And it turns out, that's because he sold them for a living. And yeah, he's a single dad taking care of 2 kids. And so Loki has to get them into some sort of, convince them to come with him, because if they're all together, then maybe they can replicate enough of these time pads that they can use to track back to the TVA so they can set things right. And it doesn't actually work, because Loki goes to visit Sylvie. She's not really she's content to stay in 1982. She's happy where she is. She, again, doesn't want anything to do with the TVA. However, it turns out that without the TVA, everything starts falling apart and her world disintegrates. So she rushes over, and then everything starts disintegrating in that world with Loki and everyone. Except Loki at the last minute manages to reverse it because he's now controlling his time skips. And so he hits on the idea, well, I'll just go all the way back, for lack of a better term, to when Victor failed with the device, and we'll make sure it works this time. And he tries again, and again, and again. He tries speed, it doesn't work. He says, okay, we got to figure out how to do this right. So he travels back in time centuries so he can learn how this device works, and set up a proper working prototype so like this should work. And he coaches Victor through every possible thing that could happen, like, don't set the thing down, it'll roll off the platform. Don't do this, it'll do this, and do this. And they finally seem to get it into place, and it blasts, it goes off, the loom starts expanding, everything seems to stabilize, and then it completely falls apart again. And Loki finally says, I think I know what I have to do. And so he travels back to the end. He time skips all the way back to the end of season 1, and he has to stop Sylvie from killing Kang. And and so he has to fight. And he doesn't want to kill her, but that's probably the most likely option to happen. Until finally, after about the 40th time, Kang just stops it and goes, "Look, I knew this was going to happen. Like, this was all part of the plan. The loom was just a fail-safe. I had wanted my variants spread throughout. We're gonna destroy everything. We're gonna make everything into one timeline, or you're gonna kill me and you're gonna your only choice is to do this, which sends my variants back, or you do this and destroy all of time." Exactly, like, yeah, that's the only thing. Like, or I stay here. There's no, I did everything planned, and I would say that's kind of cool, though again, it's really complicated. Sorry. And then from there, Loki finally realizes that he can pause and untime too, and he and Kang are talking, and basically it's like, again, there's only, the only solution is to let the loom collapse. However, Loki hits on the idea of letting the loom collapse, or, you know, destroying the loom, and then using the strands to basically reform the loom. And he goes out there, and his powers return, and he essentially becomes the new Yggdrasil, the central connecting tree in Norse mythology that connects the 9 realms. If you saw, you know, the Thor movies, if you know that. So yeah, he basically turns the loom into the new Yggdrasil, and you know, he lives in the center of it. You know, we see the the TVA is now starting to change things a little bit. Like, we're still going to deal with variants, but we're not going to just work on eliminating them. We'll teach them how to live their lives in these multiverses now. Yeah, the reason, yeah, they concluded that they could never get it fixed was they could never fix the loom was, you know, Timely finally realizes, like, because these branches are infinite, you can't expand the loom to be infinite. It's like dividing by 0. You can't. Once you've hit the limit, you've hit the limit. There's no way you can expand. Yeah. So yeah, you can't contain infinity. So yeah, that's what happened there. And so there are still variants of Kang throughout there. In fact, they mentioned Quantumania, and they said that one's taken care of. So, you know, we just need to track down these other ones. Mobius leaves the TVA to kind of go glimpse what his actual life is. Sylvie sort of joins him. You know, Loki is in the center of the tree. And then Rev Slayer wakes up in what looks like the realm of the Lokis that were all in there, if you remember that, with the Richard E. Grant and the Gator Loki and, you know, Kid Loki and Old Man Loki and all. You get the idea. And then there's like this purple light that starts glowing in front of her. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure they're going to do a season 3, so I don't know when or how that's going to necessarily pay off. But yeah, like I said, given what they're talking about with Marvel now and with the actor who played Kang, obviously he's not coming back. You know, there's talk now they're going to just drop Kang as a villain. It's like, I think you're a little too far gone to do that because you've been building him up to be the big bad guy. You can't change gears now and make a new big bad guy. You know, I think you're just going to have to recast him. Then again, I know public reception of a lot of these materials in recent, you know, the last year or so has been rather harsh. So, you know, I don't know how much of it's just overall fatigue as much as it is, you know, now the diehards are the only people really going to it, because when you cater to diehards, that's all who are going to go to it. And they're certainly realizing there's now a profit limit for that. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much how it ends. Like I said, overall it's good. It's just, obviously because there's a lot of time travel involved, it gets a little complicated. And I said before, you know, characters are referring to each other by different names at different points, and it can get a little confusing, so you have to try your best to keep track of things. But other than that, like I said, it's a good solid story. It's a good solid time travel story. So overall it is enjoyable, but obviously I think you have to still be pretty well versed in especially Loki to have enjoyed it. So that's why I can't give it the full recommendation of an A. I give it a B.
You've seen them on the big screen. Now see them on your screen.
We're gonna need a team effort here.
Thor, Captain America,
Avengers Forever.
the Hulk, Iron Man.
That's the stuff.
The ultimate team of heroes.
Arrogant and pig-headed. You'll make a fine Avenger.
In their own brand new animated series.
Avengers Assemble!
Marvel's Avengers Assemble. A brand new animated series. Premieres Sunday, July 7th on Disney XD.
On All Hallows Eve on Disney XD. Prepare to be scared witless. The spooky and the strange rise up.
You scare me, you big ugly oaf!
Come to your home. The all-new Monday Mayhem is monster size.
Real monster! Everybody panic!
I just made Doomsday in my pants.
Monster-sized Monday Mayhem, brand new tomorrow night at 7, 6 Central on Disney XD.
Okay, so I'm not entirely sure when this is going to be going up. I'm going to aim to get this up on Friday the 23rd of February, but because the TNA pay-per-view is that night, and I want to try to get that up on Friday too, because the WWE pay-per-view premium live event is on Elimination Chamber is on Saturday. You know, but here's the rub: it's in Perth, Australia, which means the show is airing at 3 a.m. So I'm obviously not going to be up for that. I'll have to catch it on delay, which means it's going to be coming up later on Saturday, or possibly even Sunday. So, if I can, just know that the next video is going to probably be the TNA No Surrender recap and review, then the Elimination Chamber recap and review. I can't say for absolute certainty when those reviews are going to be up. They should be up at least Saturday and Sunday at the latest. And then after that, it's going to be the random trade review on, random trade review on Transformers Best of the UK, Prey. So yeah, I'm going to try to get that up on Tuesday. Okay, so we'll take. I think this is probably going up on Friday. TNA Friday or Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, somewhere in there. Then after that, Elimination Chamber, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Okay? And then Random Trade Review on Tuesday. I think I got that. I hope you did. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/CPTime for Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.